I think we're ready. First, I'm going to say, Kristian,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
And literally, the cool thing about this is that here we don't know, I mean, we're virtual strangers.
Yep.
We just met, and through the power of music, I feel like I've known you for a very long time. So welcome, everybody, to the Loft Sessions. Tonight we have Kristian Paradis, and he's an amazing virtuoso of steel drum or steel pan.
Steel pan. Yeah.
Steel pan. So the question that begs in my head is like, how do you get started in steel pan? It's not like everybody around this area is playing steel pan.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Well, I hope so, because
Yeah.
it's a great instrument. So how did you get started?
So I grew up in Connecticut, and I don't know. I got hooked on the sound at a really young age. I was 7, 8, 9 years old around that time when I heard my first steel band. Traveling with my parents. It was actually out in San Diego, and I was just hooked right off the bat. I had been taking clarinet lessons,
Really?
and piano, organ lessons.
So you do have a much broader musical background. I asked you earlier, and you said you play drums also.
Yeah, well, I've got a few music degrees under my belt now, and
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah.
From what schools?
University of Delaware, all the way
Oh,
through.
okay.
Yeah.
So you really take this instrument to another level because you know the theory behind. I mean, you're a lot more accomplished than someone that might just play by ear or something like that.
Yeah, the standard of excellence of this instrument is rising really fast.
Is it really?
There are players all around the world that are just really phenomenal. So I'm doing my best just to keep up.
Now you had mentioned that you did at one point Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah.
You actually, I just can't imagine how. I mean, that's got so much. You must really be moving.
Well, the funny thing is, like, it's kind of a standard showpiece for pan players.
It is?
Yeah.
I mean, of all the songs that I just picked, I would happen to pick that one.
The whole thing, because it shows off the ability of the instrument to play chromatics.
Right.
And that was so important in the development of the instrument. But because the instrument is laid out in a logical way, chromatic scales are actually really easy to navigate through. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's impressive, but it's.
Now, what's it called when you play with two mallets per hand? Is that something?
Yeah, I play 4 sticks.
Is it just called 4 sticks?
Yeah, 4
I
sticks.
mean, that allows you now to get lush chords at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And is it for chords, or can you do
all kinds of things? And a technique I developed. I don't have the gear to demonstrate it today, but you can play an accompaniment in one hand and a melody in the other.
Wow.
But because the instrument is arranged in a circle, the hand that's playing accompaniment is changing all the time.
Right.
So it's really a fun kind of.
I think your mic's moving down a little bit there.
Yeah,
You might want to tighten it and bring it up a little closer to you. There we go. So now I also saw on your website. First off, what's your website so everybody knows it?
Steeldrummer.com.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must get calls all the time on that. You want to sell that.
I got in there early. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have CTO.com, and that was like a 3-letter domain, and but no one's ever offered me any big money for it. No. So on your website, there was an orchestra, like a steel drum orchestra that you play with.
Yeah, I've got a few that I'm playing with. So the local one is Philly Pan Stars, and
do you guys play anywhere live? Like, like for the holiday? Is there
Well, we were going to be playing the Mummers Parade. We've been doing that for a few years, but it wasn't in the cards for this year.
When you say play, are you on a float or are you walking?
Yeah, we play on the back of a truck.
Now, is that hard with your? Does it move the instrument?
Well, if you drink enough before you get on the boat,
Yes.
it all evens out.
But the beauty of it is if you spill, you never really spill. You could take the straw.
4 years in the Navy, I got used to not spilling my drinks.
What did you do in the Navy?
I was a drummer. I was a musician.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Navy band.
Wow, that must have been a great experience.
It was wild.
You flew around, and so how long have you been playing steel drum then?
Well, let's see. If I got hooked on it when I was about 8 years old. I'm 44 now, so I've got a few decades under my belt.
And there are quite a few people in this area that play.
More and more, yeah. I have a good studio of students that are kind of. I'm competing with them for gigs now.
Oh,
It's
really?
the tough part. Yeah, I train
So-
them up and then they steal my gigs.
So tell me this: what would someone bring to the table that was born and raised in Trinidad? Isn't that where it started?
Yeah.
Trinidad. So someone was born and raised, bred in Trinidad. That's all they know is steel drum, versus someone that picked it up and had a passion for it in YouTube. Does the person from Trinidad bring anything to the table that?
For sure, yeah. I mean, the acculturation, learning how to.
And that translates in the music.
You can hear it. Yeah.
There's little nuances that
You can hear it. Yeah.
we could call it feel. Would it be?
Yeah, it's the feel. I mean, you could really. It's nothing magical about it. You can define it really well too. Like what makes a Trini player play different from a player from anywhere else in the world. And I mentioned we were talking earlier about how in Trini music, the E's and the U's. Well, in Trini music, the E's swing just a little bit earlier than they do in a lot of our music. And so I pick up on that right off the bat, and the way certain parts of the rhythm are accented.
So I was in China one time, and I go into this bar. I'm hearing this great band playing, and I was sure they were a Caribbean band because it was like this infectious rhythm, and I'm thinking this must be Trinidad All Stars. They're from Trinidad, So I went up and talked to the guy after, and I said, "Wow, are you guys from the Caribbean?" And he says, "Man." He was like almost insulted. He said, "We're African or an African band, man." And it dawned on me. He's like, "I guess stupid me, it all started in Africa, but I never been exposed to really African music. But it had this amazing rhythm, and to me, it had that flavor of the islands, or maybe the islands have the flavor of Africa.
Oh yeah.
But it was amazing to see, have that ear journey, that I was able to experience that in China and whatnot. So what are most of your gigs then? Do you have a steel drum band with?
Yeah, I'm playing in a bunch of bands now, so I work closely with Philly Panstars that I mentioned. I've got another band called Plenty Pepper, and we're playing a lot of festivals and events locally. You can catch us at Longwood Gardens from time to time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fantastic! Are you playing for the holidays at all?
No, you know what? We've been playing New Year's Eve there for years, but this year it just didn't happen. So.
I've always felt there was something really relaxing about the steel pan, and it just gives you that sense. I don't know. There's a breeze and a beautiful, pina colada or something like that.
There's also the danger of the instrument being kind of pigeonholed too, because it can express a lot more things.
Well, absolutely. And I heard that today because you were doing more of like a soloing in the jazz room, and it's so refreshing to hear that because you don't normally get exposed to that. Earlier we were talking, I was saying about Jimmy Buffett. I just love his band that goes out with the horns and he incorporates the the percussion and of course the steel pan.
Yeah.
And is there any other bands besides like Jimmy Buffett that has done that are famous?
Yeah, a lot of people will claim that Jane's Addiction got them into this instrument of all things because
really,
what is it with the tune Jane Says? Stephen Perkins is playing a steel pan, poorly, but I think he's gotten better since he recorded that. But
okay.
It was just a unique sound that they added to it, and it caught a lot of people's ears and kind of steered them towards the real thing.
Right. Well, man, it was really a pleasure being here and meeting you and playing. I hope we get a chance to play again in the future. If you ever need a keyboard player, a guitar player, and certainly you're going to be the first on call for a steel pan.
Yeah, sounds good. And you passed the audition too.
Well, thank you. So here's the Making Music Together. Cheers and
cheers.
Thanks for coming on. So hopefully that